front, Bilstein shock and eye box spring B12 Pro kit. Funny enough, I think the front's going to be easier than the back, at least taking it out, but we're going to have to build a whole new setup. I bought all new hardware and whatnot, so let's get into taking off the front. So the first thing the manual says to do is to remove this stabilizer link out of the strut. So I have aftermarket stiffer ones. The stock ones will have a Torx nut in here. Torx bolt. You hold the Torx with a Torx bit and you take I can't remember what size, I think it's 18mm wrench, and while you're holding it with the Torx you take this off. So this is going to be interesting for me because I don't have that. I think there's a place to hold it on the back without damaging the boot, so I'm going to try and hit it that way. All right, let's try with the 1/2 inch. Awesome. Well, that saved me a lot of time. Keep our little link out of there. Link is out. Once you get the link out, remove the ABS wire from the ABS bracket. Be careful not to break the bracket itself. All right. So in the service manual, it tells you to take like a caliper or a tool to measure right here and behind the strut. So like a clamp. And you see how far it is so that when you reinstall it, you have the same camber angle. I honestly don't think I'm gonna do that because after I install new suspension, I'm probably gonna go for an alignment anyway. So I'm probably not gonna bother with that. So we got the 2 bolts out of the spindle. Now all that's left is these 3 bolts up here, and I believe the whole thing just comes out. Sweet. 13 mil. So got the old one out. Here it is. Now we're gonna inspect how the old one's built and rebuild the new one. All right, I'm taking apart the old spring. I planned on reusing these, but they're pretty worn. I should have just got new ones, but I'll try to make the best of it. Took the top nut off. Yep. Yeah, these bearings needed changing pretty bad. Pretty bad. it will be loose. All right, and here's the spring seat. It's pretty torn up. And I believe that's the bump stop. So the reason I'm replacing the suspension on the Volvo is because it's always felt very floaty and bad in the front. And I have a feeling this is why. That is not supposed to do that. That is not supposed to be able to be pushed by hand. That is really bad. So that means this strut has failed. You can even hear fluid noises. Or, yeah, I was hearing noises earlier. But it should not be able to do that. Let me get a good one to show you. So here we have the Bilstein one. Already, if you pull the bellow up, the cylinder is huge compared to stock. And I'll try with all my might, and I cannot push it. Cannot push it at all. But this right one on the Volvo, you can push. So here we have the old suspension, and here is the new suspension. Yeah, that's not going down. So the stock one has this ABS bracket. If you see these little pins sticking out, the way I took it out from this one is by pushing the pins out from the back, and then it will just come out. And then when you go to put your new one in, you know, make sure they're out so it's easy to slip in. And then off camera, I'm gonna push these little pins back in so it's secure. Be fragile, because this thing can break easy. All right, if we're looking on both springs head on, this is quite the drastic drop. They say it's not very noticeable, but I don't know, that looks like quite a noticeable amount of drop. So now I'm gonna finish taking off the other one and see how I can go about using this. I want to reuse it because I don't know if I have time to get new ones. I mean, I'd have to wait for it to ship in and for like a week. So I'll figure that out. Okay, so we're getting them together. The only issue, I would say, is this little thing on the top hat. It's seating everywhere else but that little middle spot. But I'm thinking once the car gets some weight on it, it'll push it into there. We got one done. Now we have the other one. So when you're putting this together, you're going to use a 7 Allen head to hold the strut while you tighten the 21mm bolt. And make sure you have your cross nut in there and that this is on straight, as well as your bump stop bearing washer, even though you're not using a bump stop. So I'm gonna try to loosen the spring compressor while angling it into this little groove here. I'm trying to get a good shot of it. Yeah. Just loosen the spring compressor and watch to make sure it seats up in there. Before you do that, I'm gonna tighten this down. I'm using this funky wrench I found It actually works pretty good. I thought it was gonna be, you know, gimmick, but it was given to me, and I ended up needing it for this right now, and it actually works pretty good. Look at the top and line it up, 2 in the back and 1 in the left. So you're told to get new hardware, bolts, and nuts because realistically, there goes one. These are stretch bolts, and you're not supposed to really use them more than once because once you tighten them, they stretch and they kind of lock into place. And I'm just gonna be honest, I've reused a lot of them and they're just fine, but I went ahead and got new ones anyway. But if you don't have new ones, you should be fine using your old ones. If you really want to be sure, after you tighten them, put a little Sharpie or paint mark on the bolt and onto whatever it's tightened to. And if it starts getting loose and coming out, you'll see it move and it won't be lined up. All right, let's get our new hardware. Let's confirm it's the same. Looks a little different, but it might just be like a new design. Volvo does update their parts here and there when they make improvements, which is one reason I really like the brand. Oh. Ooh, nice and easy. Very good. Sweet. don't forget to put your tie rod back in and your ABS sensor. After you tighten it to 105 Newton meters, whatever, you gotta do 90 degrees. So let's say you start like this, you're gonna end like that, so 90 degrees. They have torque wrenches that can measure this, but I only have it in a 3/8 and not a 1/2 inch, so I'm just gonna do it by feel. All right, we got the wheel on and the jack stand out. Let's lower the car. Ooh, that was going fast. Oh. All right, now we are on the other side. Nice, look at that. I'm just gonna tighten up the top bowl a little more probably, but it's sitting pretty nice. So I didn't get a huge chance to record the back because it's quite the pain in the butt. But what I did is there's one bolt to remove the strut and there's one up in the trunk. I'll show you it. Once you remove the strut out through the bottom, you are going to loosen this 17mm bolt. And I suggest doing this with a friend. Have them pull down on this arm while you pull out the spring. And same thing putting it in. Have them pull down on this arm while you squeeze it in. And make sure when you're putting the springs on, I don't know if I can get a good shot with the tire on now, but there's a little recess in the control arm and you need to get it right before the recess, not over it or too far before it. You need to get right on it. So try to get in that recess and get it up in the rubber isolator. And then once you get the spring back in, put this back. And it's not too hard. It's way easier with two people. And here in the trunk is where it is, behind these fabric panels. But yeah, I'm gonna lower her down and take her on a ride. Oh yeah. Some tools in the trunk I gotta go return. After that, we can drive a little crazier. Way smoother. Way smoother, handling the bumps way better. I'm liking it so far.